Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here. Let's get into things. Now, you may notice that I am not sporting the same character as I was last time. I probably forgot to change the title of the video. That's alright. We found a Herald of the Scurry with 1 legendary potential last week. And, that might not be my same Herald. Is that not my same Herald? If it's not, we'll switch it out for my proper Herald. Just a sec here. Alright. It's a different Herald. We're gonna wear my real Herald. Yeah. Oh no, I have 3 skill points. Whoops. Thank you very much, Random Navex. Resub for 11 months in a row. Getting close to that 1 year mark. Here we go. Alright, so we had points in this. There we go. Or we saw they flicked red, because this is where the points came out of. Alright. We have 10 squirrels. We're gonna do a little bit of monolith, and then we'll go make our Herald legendary. We're severely underleveled, but I think it's gonna work. And we have a proper loot filter set up this time and everything. Big ups to Reimer. He sorted us out with everything. Hello everyone who's joined. Hello Diddless. Hello K-Phil. My hair's getting too long there. Yeah, man. My hair. My hair's got entirely too long, and I definitely need to fix it. So we're all about, you may notice that there's a ton of bleeds that pop up. Ton of bleeds that pop up on our enemies here. Our Herald just very conducive to bleeding everywhere, which is great. Woo. And we're kind of here for support, for moral support, but our minions are the real stars of the show here. And I haven't played with a Herald build yet on stream, and I love this item so much, so you know what, we're playing with it. I might go back to my marksman. I was really enjoying it, for sure. Like, oh, that's so fun. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in chat. If you could precede them with an @Last Epoch game, make my life a lot easier to be able to see who's asking what, and I can answer them faster. And as always, all of the proceeds from the stream go directly to charity, and that charity changes every month. And we happen to be at the start of a month, so we've got a new charity lined up for you. Today we have the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and I'm sorry if I just botched how that is pronounced. Doing my best. Hope everyone here is having a great time. I'll answer a few questions here. Is it intentional that players can stand in a dead zone for Lightless Arbor, or will that be looked at? It seems most are standing in a corner to avoid the first phase mechs. I think that's probably a mistake. Like, probably feels like a mistake when you guys are looking at it. So I would I'd be pretty confident it's a mistake. And for anyone who doesn't know, the item that we are using to get squirrels instead of wolves is this Herald of the Scurry. It was a creator unique for Zizarin who made this, and we had a nice stream with him when we actually made the item together on stream with Stanspor, myself, and him. And so yeah, it doubles your squirrels basically. It doubles your wolves and turns your wolves into squirrels. And it changes the howl into something else. So they go rabid. They go rage mode. Can we expect auto navigation in monos? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you elaborate? What does auto navigation mean? Like, you just like puts the game on rails or something like that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. This is when can we expect? Based on skill bar, this is a BM build. It is a Beastmaster build. Yeah. We are doing, I mean, the skill bar same as our skills allocated there. We're mostly into Beastmaster. You can clip that and screenshot it if you want. I can go into it a little bit more depth in a minute here. This feels weird though. Like usually I'm playing ZDPS builds and I'm not doing ZDPS, so it feels a little out of place. I don't know what to do with myself. Whoa, this big leap. Yeah, we've got our totem to enrage our squirrels, and then our squirrels also enrage themselves. So they're real mad. They're in a frenzy rage. Alright. An industry leader has implemented it in their recently released ARPG. It lets you automatically navigate the zone. I assume, based on the language used, that you're talking about Diablo Immortal. I haven't played it yet. And I'm quickly realizing that the comment was meant in jest. I don't think that sounds like something we're planning on implementing. When will we get content that takes 40 years to acquire, but we can lessen the grind with cash? Are these just a lot of digs at Diablo Immortal here? Is that what's going on? I'm gonna answer them like I'm completely oblivious. Never, we wouldn't do that. Like they're serious questions. But seriously, I don't think that's something we're planning on doing ever. Just in case that was not obvious. I'm just going the wrong way. My squirrels they want to attack stuff over there. Come on, guys, this way. This way. Yes. Yes, this way. Come on. All I can picture is like Will Ferrell in The Producers with his pigeons. Like, come this way. Hello, do you think we may eventually add tech for temporary servers for communities to run races a la early PoE temp races? Maybe. That's one of those things that would be really cool to do, and we do have have ways of doing that because we kind of already do that a little bit with our testing setups. Having it be a like production environment is a little bit trickier. There's a little bit more going on there that needs to be done. I would say it's not impossible, but it won't be a launch product. It won't be a day one thing that we have. But that does sound like a really cool thing to have. Maybe auto navigate Diablo Immortal. It's real, and yes, they are. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I was actually quite excited to try it, and I haven't seen fantastic reviews yet. I will still give it a shot because I feel like that would be, like, I don't know, use the term irresponsible to not try it at least. I know our one of the other developers left a pretty big write-up, ignoring any monetization stuff, just about the gameplay feel and all that sort of the actual game content. And he had some really good info in there, so I like that. That's the trouble with Minion builds. I want to go one direction, they want to go another. That's why you have the A key. Tell them to go that way. Dance this way, dance that way, dance this way, dance this way. Oh, I thought there was going to be something coming out there. Yeah, I really don't do much damage myself, do I? I should just be using my abilities to reposition things. I got pull on Warcry and pull on Leap. I think. At least it feels that way. These squirrels are doing work though, my goodness! So this is what a real build feels like. Is the reason why some zones show the mob level on top right when doing the campaign, but most don't show level? They generally should all show a level when you have the large map turned on, I think. If they don't, I would assume that they're just scaled to your own level, but I feel like we would show that anyways. Not sure, sorry. So how are the internal testing with multiplayer going? Curious, only come to stream 2 to 4 times a year. Okay, it's going really well. We've started, if anyone's wondering for an update on multiplayer testing, we've finished our second CT test. So there are people who don't work for 11th Hour Games that are playing multiplayer, which has gone really well. And we're, still building systems. We're still developing content for the game. We're still squashing bugs and making things smooth and all that sort of stuff. But it's moving along swell. It's the time we took last year to really to restructure some of our back end systems has paid off quite a bit as far as development progress now is concerned, and the quality of the product we've got now. Don't need a helm or weapon really at all, do I? Because those are set with uniques. Do you really want to get the mountain shield? I guess I need an exalted helm to make my legendary herald. I see a question here that have you ever tried Grim Dawn? I have tried Grim Dawn. Don't forget to put Last Epoch game in the questions and I'll see them better. But yes, I have tried Grim Dawn. I quite like Grim Dawn. I thought it was a ton of fun. I wish I had played it more when it was fresher. Like when it first came out, that sort of thing. I think it suffered for my opinion of it. Well, I do think it's a really good game. I guess opinion's a bad word. Enjoyment that I got out of it may have suffered a little bit from it being an older game by the time I tried it for the first time. But no, I think Grim Dawn brings a ton of really awesome stuff to the table, and they did a lot of stuff really well. And I think it doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, really. And its predecessor, Titan Quest 2, also a great game. Picked it up on the Switch a little while ago from the library and played it. That was a lot of fun. It was cool to be able to have this, I don't know, older game show up as a Switch title. It was cool. I liked it. I can learn a lot what not to do. I mean, okay, so yeah, if you ignore the monetizations issues that people have been bringing up a lot, there's a lot of good information about actual system designs and like sound design and VFX design and things like that. Like that still has quality, I think, even if you're not a fan of the other parts of it. Referring to Diablo Immortal again, not Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn has extremely lenient monetization systems. Are you a lead dev? I'm not the lead dev. I'm a senior developer, I'd say. It's hard to put actual titles on things, but been here for a long time. I do. I mostly push the skills development stuff as like, if you want to pick like a department that I guess I lead-ish is skills development. We haven't been doing a ton of that lately, so been working on other stuff. Speaking about monetization, when will we see more skins? Also, do you plan to release reskinned skill effects? Yes. And if so, how will it work in-game mechanics change how skills look like already? So yeah, we are planning on you can see appearance right here. There's a section for skill effects down at the bottom already. This is sort of a meant to signal that we're planning on doing this to people, because you can't really do anything with it right now. It doesn't do anything. Does it have the, oh, okay. Escape closes the whole thing. No, there's a bug. Anyways, these would take priority over changes done in the skill tree. So if you, for example, if you had, let's use Fireball as an example, and you've got Plasma Ball, and it adds that lightning effect around it. But then you have a skill VFX skin for it that maybe is like a Void Ball, and it changes it into a Void Fireball visuals. Totally making this up on the spot, no idea if we're going to do this, but if we did, the Void one that you paid for as an MTX, a cosmetic MTX, would supersede the ones in game. And when will we see more skins? We're really trying to finish up the in-game stuff first before we do the cosmetic stuff. So we're still working on the in-game stuff before we get to the cosmetics. It's not to say they're not, like, there's not stuff in motion happening, but we're trying to finish the in-game stuff before we release cosmetic stuff. There's also sort of like a weird thing about like releasing the cosmetic stuff before the game's online. You know, there's a lot of stuff in there that we need to be careful of and make sure we're being careful. I know I said careful twice there, but I don't know a better word for it. Cognizant of the implications. That's me trying to sound smart. Zakaris Bay, have you thought about offering a one-time MTX chest at the end of dungeons with bonus currency like gold cosmetics or something? I don't know, just spitballing here. I think we've strayed into these joke questions again. But in all serious answer, no, we haven't considered doing that. Do you know if the game is going to go live around September? I mean, everything's stored in servers, no more local save files. I don't have any more information about what's happening on timelines other than the current goal is that the next major patch will be sometime in and around September-ish or thereabouts. Last bear gloves. Do we wear them? Probably not. No, when I was a bear, I wore them, but otherwise they need some love. Do you know if so the question, any updates regarding new class specializations? They are still in the same state they were a year ago. There's no information on them. We've not done any work on them. They are still pending. Okay, serious question. You mentioned in May on Discord about some interesting changes to ailments. Can you detail what that pertains to? Not the exact changes, but maybe the implications. Yeah, I mean, so we've gotten a lot of feedback over the last little while about how much stronger and thematic and interesting poison is compared to bleed and ignite. And at the baseline, they're extremely similar things. Like, they're just a different themed version of each other, really. They're a dot that one of them's themed around physical damage, bleeding. One of them's themed around fire damage, burning. One of them's themed around poison damage, poison. And they're all really common ailments in RPGs and games, fantasy games in general. It's a really common thing to have. Is those three are sort of the staples. There's a lot of others that are really common too, but I'd argue that those three are like the most common. I could be wrong about that, but that's the way I feel. Anyways, we didn't really have anything to balance, like, because poison has this extra, I would say, ability to shred enemy resistance based on the number. Each stack also shreds enemy poison resistance, so you get this compounding effect where every poison is more powerful than the last because it makes every other poison on there already deal more damage. And a lot of people very quickly noticed in multiplayer, which, I mean, it's not something we knew this was going to happen. This is not like, oh my god, it's happened. But when we get into multiplayer testing, people make groups of just everyone's applying poison. Because suddenly this self-compounding poison damage is even more powerful when you have 4 people doing it instead of 1. And so we knew we were going to have to do something, and we've been sort of humming and hawing and fumbling and figuring out what we're going to do for quite a while now to fix this problem. And then on top of that, we also get frequent feedback that bleed and ignite are not interesting. They're just a boring version of poison. Like, people want something else to go with it, but we frequently get, okay, make something else to go with it, but don't make that something just the same as poison, where fire shreds fire res and bleed shreds physical res. You know, like, keep it a little more interesting than that. It's tough to do. There's not a lot you can do there. It's a really tricky problem to solve, and especially also just having these dot ailments be relatively simple is actually a bonus, because it's having easy to understand and easy to gauge mechanics is really important as well. Something that you can quickly decide if you want or not, and maybe having those advanced features be part of other effects through weapons is really useful. However, so about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere in there, about 2 years ago, we were unable to change ailment effects at all. So, like, there was an ailment, once that whatever that ailment was, that's what it was, and you couldn't change that ailment on the fly about, like, things it did. So we actually changed that system when we introduced Death Seal. Nope. Crap. It wasn't marked for death. It was the one after that. Blood Curse? Bone Curse? Oof. Apparently I have to play an Acolyte. Anyways, we introduced that. It has a whole bunch of things that, because it is an ailment, and there's a whole bunch of things in its tree that change that ailment on the fly. And so we created the system. Great. Oh my goodness. There was a lot of stuff happening there. We just got out a little bit. That's fine. And it works really well when that ailment is being applied from one source or very few sources. But as soon as you have that ailment being applied from anything and everything, like bleed and ignite are, I'm done this portal as Echo, and I'm just like playing absentmindedly because I got rambling. Sorry. You have it's a pretty big performance hit to give nodes that say like ignite now shreds fire res on like a node in your passive tree. That has a pretty huge performance cost to it, just because of the way that ailments are applied to each other, applied simultaneously to the same target from different sources. So we haven't done that in any places. Maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't notice. We haven't done that anywhere because of this performance hit that we would have had to take. So we've made some changes to the way that ailments work in general to improve performance on a lot of axes, actually, not just this one. So there's just better performance with ailments just in general. But then we've also given it the ability to have something called threshold bonuses. So this is a new thing that ailments can do, where it's very similar to the idea in the druid passives. See here that we've got this, like, at 5 points you get an extra 1 all attributes when you have 5 points in this druidic prowess. So at 5 points you have 6 attunement, 6 strength, 5 vitality, 5 dexterity, and 5 intelligence, or 1 dex, 1 bite, 1 int. Sorry. And so this type of concept can then be applied to ailments as well, where you have, say, at 10 stacks, something new could happen. So that's the sort of stuff that, sort of new technology that is available in there now. That might actually be a good, good weapon to use. What are we getting out of this? The armor shred. Yeah, it's the armor shred. It's just so good. Yeah, we'll stay with the armor shred. Just so good. Good little squirrel army. Are any of them named differently? Oh, be hard to see. Oh, we got one that's named differently, I think. River. River! Hey, River! Haha! Any others? No, just River. Ah, that's cool. River is our squirrel captain. We need a little helmet for River. Okay, let me get back into some questions here. I feel like I missed a couple. One feature I did like for the PC release of Immortal was the WASD movement being an option. Have you considered this? Yeah, that is something we've considered, and given that we do have controller support, it's not a terrible step to do. It basically just turns WASD into a joystick. You know, I guess you could map WASD to joystick controls and activate the controller, and there you go. That would be horrible. Don't do that. But it is something we get asked every once in a while. It's not something that that's like on a to-do list right now, but it is something that I could see gets done if we have some time for it down the road. But right now it's not specifically listed. But I do get the appeal for it. Some people really like it. Alright, next question here. Hi, do you know if it is planned to lock the monoliths behind the chapters, or will it stay as openly accessible as it is? I think it's still planned to stay the way it is. Yeah. We give incentives to... oh, we've got an experience buff. We're going. Let's go. We do give incentives to... to completing the campaign via quest rewards. But some people really want to just go and get into the dungeons or into the monoliths. I don't personally see a problem with that, but we'll see. Stuff changes all the time. You going the right way? Probably not. That's okay. I'm here to chew bubblegum and have fun. Looks like we're all out of bubblegum. We're just gonna have fun. Can't laugh at yourself, no one else will either. Sure, that's not how that saying goes. Alright, what class do you think needs the most love at the moment? How do you determine if it's a class or individual skills need a second pass? I mean, we quite often will... It's about a lot of things. A lot of it comes from player feedback. A lot of it comes from just some metrics that we have internally about the way certain skills should look and the just physical numbers behind a lot of those things, such as just number of nodes in a tree, number of average points in a tree, number of maximum points per node in a tree, number of connections per tree, number of connection requirements per connection. You know, like there's all these little things that we look at that we want to have in certain parameters. And when some of them are big outliers, we tend to like look at those to decide if we want to shore some of those up. And often, yeah, let's go to some idols, see what's up. Often, it'll be pretty obvious. So, like, for example, as far as skills go, I can show you really quickly. There's some skills. One of our rules is no nodes over 5 points. 1, 2... There's more than 2 in here, isn't there? Yeah, there's not. But there's 2 nodes here that are over 5 points each right away. And then we also do... We want approximately 30 nodes. There's less than 20. Like, we're not even 2/3 of the way to the right number of nodes. So, like, there's definite just number of problems in this tree. And you can do the exact same thing to Sabretooth. Like, there's an 8... there's one over here, isn't there? There's a 7. Yeah, like there's another 8. There's problems in these trees. So I mean, there's things like that you can tell pretty easily. Sometimes it just comes from looking at how homogenized the builds are that are appearing. So we'll see like 100% of players take these 5 nodes on this passive no matter what, and it's like, okay, well, the other nodes probably aren't strong enough, or these nodes are too strong, or some combination of the two. And we'll start to look at things like that. Yeah, quite often it comes down to the age of the stuff as well. Funny, I've got 2 exactly the same ones back to back. Anyways, yeah, so we recently have, and we'll quite often try and take a look at things batched together. So recently we did a lot of stuff with the Druid, where we completely reworked Swarmblade, or we added Swarmblade and reworked Spriggan form and Bear form all at the same time, and then we redid the passive tree at the same time. So we'll quite often do them in chunks together. So because next time when we do look at Summon Bear and Summon Sabretooth at the same time, and Wolf needs visuals, but nothing else really, I don't think. It may need some touches. We'll probably look at the passive tree a little bit at the same time as well. So I hope that gives an idea of how we look at that. Sometimes it's just from us playing and being like, this wasn't fun. How do we make it fun? Like this. I'm having a lot of fun. I don't think these skills need to be looked at much. Wolf might actually, as I'm saying this, I'm like, Wolf might have a node that's over 5 points. Doesn't look like it. Woo! I mean, yeah, I knew that. As far as what class do I think needs the most work at the moment? I don't think any one class... Okay, I mean, most total work, Rogue. But not for the reasons you may think. Mostly just because, A, it's missing a mastery, and B, it has the fewest total skills. So we're just looking at like the total number of skills that need to be done. Like, Shaman needs a fair bit of love. Beastmaster actually needs a fair bit with these 2 summons. But overall, Primalist is pretty darn good. Mage needs a look, and there's no Rune Master. Mostly Mage and Teleport needs a look. It's such a prominent skill, and it's really not very good. I think the passives there could use some love too. And then obviously we're still looking at there's a lot of Paladin stuff that needs touches, I think. Judgment, Healing Hands, the one missing Paladin skill as well, and that passive tree needs love too, and also just Sigils and Holy Aura need some love too, I think. So I think Paladin, it needs a good chunk, even though it does have, like, Paladin I think has a lot of really fun builds to play, even though there's this like, okay, Paladin needs work on a lot of things. There's at the same time a lot of really fun Paladin builds out there. Namely, I would say Javelin's my favorite. I think Javelin's got quite a few. I think Javelin might be carrying it a little bit. Hammer Throw Smite's a lot of fun too. You can play that other classes too, though. So there's a lot that goes into picking what's going to be worked on next. A lot of it right now is what's the most necessary to get to launch with. Yeah. Other than don't turn a single player game into a multiplayer game. Great advice, by the way. What would you all do differently if you could start over today? It's an interesting question. Not a lot, really. I mean, all the big overhauls and changes, I would just do those from the beginning. It's kind of a cop-out answer. I don't have a good answer for this. Because that's really the big thing is wow. So yes, don't turn a single player game into a multiplayer game. We would not have had the resources to make this a proper multiplayer game when we first started. If we just went straight to multiplayer only, there would have been an extra 2 years before we would have got to Kickstarter even. And I'm not sure that would have been like actually healthy for the game as a whole. I don't know if we would have made it this far if we'd done that. Like, it's so hard to say like what you would change. Yeah, I don't know. Because basically everything we've been able to change. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer. There haven't been a whole lot of like, well, if we'd only known, I would have done this differently, other than specific multiplayer related stuff. That's the big thing. There's certain multiplayer things, like we wouldn't have started down certain paths, we wouldn't have there's lots of things that we ended up burning a fair bit of time on. But it was necessary. Like, there's all these things that you kind of just have to do to know that they're the wrong thing. I'm gonna go with nothing. Just a reminder to chat if you tag. Oh yeah, tag at Last Epoch game in your question, and I will answer. Otherwise, I'll skim right over it. because I'm the worst. Is it a deliberate artistic decision that there are no angels or demons in Last Epoch, or can we expect them in the future? It's a little bit of an intentional artistic decision. You know, there's a lot of different things you can create in a world, and recognizing other major players in a game space and keeping yourself distinct without compromising a set game vision is useful, I think. And so, like, obviously, what I'm referring to here is Diablo's whole storyline is focused around angels and demons, and Nephilim, I guess you could say, the children of angels and demons. But yeah, it's all around angels and demons, and like, it's a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm not saying we won't ever have it, but the focus not being on that is really intentional. It also just wasn't part of, and I don't know if this was intentional from the start, but it also just wasn't part of the Lore Master's initial, like, story and game design vision. You know, like, what he initially pitched did not include angels or demons. No room. No. I will make it possible. Oh, that's my totem. Oh, I forgot we buffed the totems hard on there, how much health they have. This is just fantastic. I'm doing damage. Like, I'm surviving. I'm hopping around the battlefield and doing fun stuff. This is great. I'm liking this build. Thanks, Reimer. Squirrel pet build. This makes me want this game even more. Yeah, squirrel pet build. You know it. What else would we have, right? Wolves? How do you guys plan to handle creator uniques that have lost their touch or usage over many different iterations of the game? One example I can think of is Soul Bastion, which I don't think I've ever seen used in my time playing the game. Yeah, Soul Bastion's a really old unique. I don't even know if we're even still in contact with the person who made it. I haven't seen them around for a very long time, but we usually, if there's like an issue with a creator unique and like a creator wants to like a big issue, it's gone completely out of the original vision of what it was for, we try and contact them to say, like, hey, we've noticed a problem with this, or if we've changed an item, or if we changed the system that it interacts with and we know it's a creator unique, we try and say to them, hey, like, we're making this change, that's going to affect the stat on your item, and we want to change to this. How do you feel about that? And we do a quick little back and forth. We'll probably do less of that once the game fully launches, because there'll probably overall be less movement with major systems. But we may still do it. Who knows? Right now, because things are still in flux, it's a little... you know, we like to keep those items, and we did make a mistake. I do want to acknowledge that we did make a mistake about this recently, where we changed a creator unique without consulting the creator, and it was not what they would have wanted, and we went back and we changed it again with their consultation, which I think was ended up in a good spot. I hope it did anyways. You haven't been calling me out on it, so I think it's probably okay. Let's go. Imagine killing angels and demons with a squirrel army. Like, so there's sort of an old joke in, I guess it's an old joke now. if anyone plays Magic, there's these creatures called the Eldrazi, and they are kind of eldritch horror type, unknowable entities that exist in between planes that protrude into some planes as these monstrosities that corrupt and suppress and all these crazy things they can do. And there's a joke about like one of the biggest and baddest of them that can be taken down by 13 squirrely boys, because it can. And there's all sorts of like fan art of the card with like 13 squirrels on it, which I like. I think it's funny. So yeah, taking down angels and demons with squirrels, but they're like special magical squirrels, right? Is there no squirrel level? Yes. See, I know how to answer a negative question. Will we see an auction house? It's unlikely but possible, I would say, at this point. And I want to clear that I mean that by in the near future, because you know stuff changes all the time, and who knows what's going to happen in 5 years from now. A Dargon staff. What is the build I'm playing right now besides the scrolls? I would be happy to take you through a brief walkthrough of my build that I'm rocking right now. So our primary skill is Summon Primal or Summon Wolf, which is converted to squirrels. Basically just a bunch of bleed duration, bleed, more bleed, dodge rating, you know, all this sort of stuff. Health, keep them alive, make them bleed. Then we've got our Warcry, which is the big shout I've been doing. So usually Warcry knocks back enemies. This pulls them in tight, so I can position enemies so my squirrels have easier access to them. And then I get a little brief window of vulnerability afterwards for defensive purposes. I have a Summon Frenzy Totem, which causes all my squirrels to be more awesomer. Basically just buffing them up to do damage. This only makes it only affect companions, but makes it do way more. So focuses on companion damage here. Fury Leap, this is mostly a movement utility skill for me. But I also cast more minions as vines when I land. So, and it also pulls enemies in for repositioning enemies as well and creating more minions. And then I've got Swipe, which is my main attack that I do most of the time. It's mostly set up to do Fizz Shred, Bleed, and Claw Totems, which is another minion that can spawn by chance as well that will inflict more bleeds. As for passives, Bleed, Melee, Health, you know, pretty straightforward, sharing stuff with minions. Armor and Endurance rating here, which is a really powerful early node in Druid. And then Beastmaster, which I still have a point that I can put into right now, which I might just put in here. Yeah. Aspect buffs are a pretty key part of most Primalist builds. So I can last longer. So I know we have at least one that we're snagging every once in a while. Eve, I see you, Eve the Orphan. The question answers. You say, is there no squirrel level? And I said yes. So yes, there's no squirrel level. Just to be clear. Thank you very much. We have oh, this is a tricky one. Flotzerunder Hintern. Man, I butchered that. I apologize. But I got close enough to satisfy myself. So I hope it was good enough for you too. Thank you for the subscription. Much appreciated. that will be going to the MS Society. Regents. Don't forget to put at Last Epoch game in the question, and I'll see it easier. There's a first time one here. Have you considered doing a crossover with Carcassonne, where you fight meeples in farm roads and cities? I can't say I've considered that, no, but it would be fun. Oh, I've got a big Carcassonne box in the cupboard. I should pull that out. I haven't played it in years. One of my friends moved away and was just like, "Here you go. I've been collecting this for years. Have fun." It's so overwhelming. I've only played the base game. So many expansions. With this longer patch cycle, I know a lot of focus is on multiplayer, but can we expect a somewhat bigger patch than we've had? I know there weren't many changes between 8.4 and 8.5. Don't know if you can gauge the size early, but a rough estimate. I don't have much info on what's coming patch-wise for that. For the next patch, multiplayer will be a surprisingly large change unto itself. I think you'll be surprised at how much that changes things on its own. But yeah, we're still working on this stuff too. I can't give you a concrete, oh, it's going to be X amount of stuff or anything like that yet. The chatter that the squirrels have is just like, it's so. Oh, there was what menu was that? Was that the this one? Yeah, it's got. Yeah, there it is. Oh, okay. Eric's flesh. If anyone from the team's watching right now, Eric's flesh needs to have. I know I keep bringing this up, and I keep seeing it on stream, and I keep forgetting about it when I log off. Eric's flesh needs to have the minimap icon removed from it, or changed. No, just removed. Oh, yeah. Hey, I want to thank you very much for a great game. It's really a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the future. Thanks. Greetings from Germany, and stay healthy. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't butcher your name too much. And I am staying healthy. It's crazy. So, like, I don't know about everyone else, but like, usually once every year, once every 2 years, maybe if I was lucky, I'd get like a small cold or whatever. But I haven't had a cold since 2019. It's been great. Everything else has been terrible, but I haven't had a cold, which has been great. Gotta look on the bright side, right? How has working at 11th hour game? How's working at 11th hour / working on Last Epoch changed your life? I mean, it's been wild. I was working for a fairly small software development company, a local one before that, before this, and it was like that was good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't anywhere near as fun as working on a video game. But you know, it was fairly similar of like day-to-day responsibilities. But having something that you work on that you're passionate about, that you're like, if I just didn't have any expenses, I would do this and not get paid type thing. Like if you had nothing to spend money on ever, what would you do? This is what I would do. So that's pretty cool. Sadly, as most of you know, we all probably have things to spend money on, like food. and a place to live. But yeah, it's been really great to be able to I don't know, do something you love, something you enjoy. It's been awesome, and being able to work from home's been really nice too. That's a big part of it. Like, instead of having to like drive home for lunch or walk home for lunch, if you wanted to like see your family during the middle of the day, you can just walk upstairs, which is really nice. So that's probably the biggest changes. It's also tricky because like when I started working at 11th Hour Games and when the pandemic hit was like not too far apart. So like it's hard to split the two. It's over a year apart, but still. Are the defensive layers in Last Epoch pretty set, or are y'all looking to expand, maybe improve the existing layers we have? I mean, we're always looking to improve them. Expand less so, just because there already are quite a few. And we do want to have room for doing things like that in the future. And keeping the initial version less complicated, I think, especially at launch, is a useful thing. Having that collective knowledge of a game grow over time is quite important. Yeah. Why is Falconer your favorite class? Because it plays differently than anything else. There's like you've got that first ability that's a ton of fun, and it's really interesting. As soon as you master it, you get that ability, and it's like the whole game just sort of shifts a little bit. And then once you get that 5 points in your mastery, and you get a second ability to augment it, it really helps you. Like it unlocks sort of a new playstyle almost. Like there's that support in the base class already. But when you get to that second ability, you can really shift your playstyle as you're leveling, and I think it's really interesting. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's because none of this is real, and I am just joking. It's not a finished class yet, and I have not been playing it. Yeah, let's go fast, Vines! Yeah, Vines need haste! Come on. Follow-up question to defensive layers. What gap were you all trying to fill when you introduced Endurance Threshold? So interestingly enough, Endurance already existed before Endurance Threshold was introduced as a formal stat. We just didn't tell anyone that it did it, but everyone had Endurance before Endurance was a thing. I think that the main reason we kind of put that in was because there was sort of this extra. I guess there's sort of three main, like, I'll say primary. Like, let's look back Diablo 1. You have your Strength, Dex, Int as your three main like class archetypes, and class styles. So you have and defensive layers kind of fit into similar things. So you have like health and block that usually fit into this like strength style oriented thing, and then you have this like dexterity focus thing, which usually revolves around dodge, avoiding hits, negating hits completely. And then you have intelligence, which usually the defensive layers are more about not getting hit at all because you're too far away, or using some sort of energy shield, which we have ward for. And health is useful for everyone pretty well, and so I didn't really feel like it was too strength style oriented. And block only works if you have a shield. So we wanted to bring something in to synergize more with sort of most characters and health in general, and not require needing a shield to be useful. Sort of a defensive layer for the two-handers out there type thing. But it kind of evolved into a little bit more than that, and also it really helps in the and this is kind of cheaty a little bit. It makes you feel like you're closer to death than you are in a lot of cases. Which if every single player, every time they did a monolith, every time they fought a boss, they thought they were going to die many times but didn't, that's the sweet spot. You want everyone to be like, oh, I almost died. And that's the really great feeling when someone's like, oh, I just barely beat that. I almost died. It was so close. And if your health at the lower section of your health is more health than the upper section of your health, you get that feeling more often. Which is part of the reason why we had that in the game before we had endurance as a mechanic at all. To prevent one-shots, prevent just getting one-shots land, and having different types of defensive layers that you can invest into to different layers of defense to invest into that prevent against different types of enemies is really important. And historically, the only way to really invest in a don't get one shot is just, it's generally just more health, really, or global, like just DR mechanics, which I know I've kind of glanced over as the fact they do exist in the game as well. But yeah, I guess that's where, and then we just wanted people to be able to scale their endurance a little bit more, interact a little bit more. So we added threshold as a stat you can interact with. Yeah. I didn't check with Last Epoch for a long time. Did you improve performance? I was getting a lot of FPS issues before. Yeah, so we've had a lot of FPS improvements over the last few years. Not everyone has had the same increase in FPS as like it's not a everyone's FPS has gone up by this amount no matter what. Now different people have different experiences with the FPS changes that we've put in, but there definitely have been, in general, pretty big improvements. And I know there's examples of like, okay, well, it didn't go up for me or something like that, and we're working on it. I swear, it's not. Don't want to dismiss that at all. But on the whole, on average, FPS has gone up quite a bit. And then on top of that, so yeah, sometimes it comes from even just changing like spell effects that are old spell effects, and sometimes it'll like look a lot nicer and be better performance at the same time, and it's kind of like, how did that happen? And it's really, I guess it's something to help illustrate the fact that just because it looks better doesn't mean it's more or less performant. A lot of times you'll see things that look better and are more performant, which is happening a ton right now in a lot of the effects we're generating and developing, because we've learned a lot since when we started. And we've been doing audits. One of our developers recently did an audit of every level in the entire game to check FPS, and we've created heat maps of all the levels. We developed some new tools for it, created heat maps for showing where major FPS problems are in maps, tools to check for major FPS drops in with certain abilities. We're creating a lot of tools for fixing these things, and some zones have already had this done to them, where we've like implemented some fixes based on where the problems are, and we've seen very significant improvements. And that's stuff that's not out yet. So yeah, I don't know if they want to have their name put out there, but there is one person who you can all thank a lot for a lot of this. And one day they might step forward and be like, "It was me," but they're awesome. If they're watching, thank you. You're awesome. But a lot of people have been putting a lot of work into it overall, so it is a definite important thing for us. Ooh. No problem. No problem there, eh, bud? Just getting her done. I need to check and see if I have a helmet. Just like relaxing. Do I have poison res is weak, but other than that, doing pretty good. I might see if I can get some poison res on my helmet then. Probably find it elsewhere, to be honest. Impossible. Unlikely. You'd like that, wouldn't you? These are my impressions of the Primalist. Alright. Let's get another question going on here. What will cycles bring? New blessings? New bosses? Drops? New bosses? Yeah, I mean, possibly any of those things, possibly all those things, possibly other things as well. We will be, like, there might be new dungeons, there might be new mechanics altogether, there might be new endgame bosses, there might be new timelines, there might be new styles of echoes, there might be new items, there might be new skills, there might be changes to skills, there might be new MTX that'll show up as well, there might be really could be anything. Could be a boat. You know how much we want one of those. With multiplayer, does EHG plan to have more cycled content outside of dungeons, like reward cycling by day stuff? Oh, I see what you're saying. So like, where at the start of every dungeon, every day, the dungeon daily reward changes. We haven't really taken that idea and expanded it anywhere else yet. I really like it. I think it's something that we can use a little bit more. I wouldn't want to use it everywhere, but I think it's something that we could use. I notice performance is better. I play on Linux. Ooh, it runs great for me this last patch. That's great to hear. We do not do a lot of testing on Linux. I'll tell you that much. We love that the game is playable on Linux. And we wish we could put more time and effort into making Linux a really stellar experience. But unfortunately, the problem is that most of us work in Windows. Partially because the Unity editor works way better in Windows than it does in Linux. And so a lot of the little things that crop up we don't see until we go to like run a test at all, because like a lot of the times any bug that's like a Windows specific bug we'll see while we're making it right away, you know. And so and most of the testing happens on Windows, and so any Linux specific bugs don't really get found until sometimes it's too late for a patch to go out type thing. But we do our best to keep it as up to date and stable and looking good as we can. And there was a change that happened pretty recently about performance on there, so I'm glad it's working for you. If you see anyone having trouble with it, don't hesitate to give them a hand on the forums or anything, if you so choose. I'm just gonna do this. To be fair, there's already a boat that you get on when you kill Harden. Spoiler alert, jeez. But yes. I think someone may have pressed enter a little too soon. If you have a question for me, please put at Last Epoch Game in the question, and I'll see it a lot easier. So guys, play another thing. Lots of questions today. I love it. Keep them coming. Another thing, would you guys ever put more content in grabbing heaps of gold, bounties, challenge dailies of some sort? I don't know if you plan to have semi-directional content like that. We had, like, so we actually had some stuff like that planned a while ago, and we pulled it out. That's the sort of thing I could see making a comeback. Having more things to do in monoliths, I think, is a really important gap to fill. And I think that's something that is pretty clear as a gap. It's not an easy thing to just fix, just to do. But anything that does help with that, I think, is a very valuable option. Here's the follow-up question that I assume is of paramount importance. Will we add Steam achievements to the game? Yeah, we'll add Steam achievements to the game. Not sure when that'll happen, but yeah, Steam achievements are coming. And I'll also add that I really dislike Steam achievements that are like log in during this event, where you just, like, if you weren't playing the game at that time, it's impossible to 100% the game as far as achievements go, you know? So I'll push back on those. If anyone pitched one. No one's pitched one of those, so I don't know why I'm saying push back. If anyone were to pitch one of those, I'd push back on it. Is the game getting dynamic maps? So that is. So I understand what you mean by that, and actually, we technically already do have some. No, yeah, it's something that we want to add in, and we are still working on perfecting that and making it work properly. And there's a lot that goes into that behind the scenes that is very dangerous to have very bad problems to come up afterwards. And this is another one of those, like, okay, you know, back to this question forever ago in the stream where it was like, what would you have done differently? Designed random maps from the ground up at the very start. I think that's the answer. I love having curated content. And I think that's really important. I think it's really important to have both, though. As we're seeing from a lot of feedback we're getting right now. And that feedback does come from people who have a lot more time in the game, on average. But I still think it's valuable. And personally, I'd really like to see it as well. Still on the radar. Still, I will say that I doubt we'll have any like traditional random maps for 1.0. I'd say that would be a big stretch. Something would have to, like the stars would have to align. They've aligned before, but you know they don't align very often. Like I know I feel like I had this conversation with people a couple years ago, and I was like, the icons, the bleed icons above, like these icons right here, the ailment icons below people's names. People were asked about a year and a half ago. People were asking for that, and I was like, never gonna happen. We can't do it. No. And then we did, and then it's got this 15+ cap where you can't see this 15+. That could be 40, it could be 80, it could be 200, it could be 15. And we got a lot of people like, come on, we want to get rid of that cap. And I'm like, no. We found a way to get rid of that cap. So you never know what's gonna happen. that getting rid of that cap was part of the ailment redesign, rework, rejigging, twisting that I was talking about earlier. Give me that XP. Everything is impossible until it's not. I like that. Squirrels are just... They're like, I am the butt kickers. Yeah, that's what the squirrels are saying. They're like, we heard you like butts being kicked, and I'm like, yeah, kick those butts. And they're like, we're on it. No big deal. Here we go, butt kicking. And they're like, oh, here I go butt kicking again. Speaking of filling those gaps in Monolith, got any ideas that you guys are discussing? Oh yeah. You've made this extremely modular system after its first rework, but it seems to have been left in a state with minor improvement. Left in that state with minor improvements. Yeah. Wondering what could possibly be next. Yeah, I don't want to speak with too many specifics on this because a lot of the stuff. So I think that overall. I think that overall, the Monolith is a really solid system. I think it's got a lot of really great features in the progression, in the meta progressions that it has overall, with getting your blessings and then your greater blessings, the agency in the content you're playing with the Echo Web itself. I think there's a lot of really good stuff there, and I think that we could, and I know there's a lot of feedback we're getting about things that the Monolith is missing, and we definitely agree. I think for the most part, there's other things that are more important, and we're working on those first. Sort of the short answer. So I don't want to say like, oh yes, this feature we're gonna do, because it might be quite a while before that feature comes in. I don't know when there's gonna be changes to the Monolith happening, but yeah, there's definitely gaps, especially in reasons to like okay, here, down here, I have no reason to go down there right now. Like, sure, I can get extra stability by killing more things. I'll get more gear, more loot at the end chest if I go down there. So there's some like minor things down there, but for most people, it's just a no-brainer. You wouldn't go down there. There's no reason. You go this way because the objective's this way, right? And I think that's the biggest gap, is the reason to explore. And so the key thing that Path of Exile does to make that happen, there's two main things Path of Exile does. One of them is the resource required to enter this zone is limited, and there's a maximum value you can get out of that resource. I'm talking about maps here. So you have a map, you were trying to get this map, it's this valuable key to get into this dungeon, and as soon as you leave the dungeon, you can't go back in. I know there's 6 portals, yada yada yada, but once you're finished with the dungeon, it's done. So completing the whole thing is the incentive, is just getting full value out of what you've invested already. And it kind of plays a little into a sunken cost fallacy, but not completely. And because you can just go into the next echo and there's no real penalty for wasting mobs in an echo, that sort of natural incentive is gone. And so providing an alternate reason to explore. And that's sort of the other thing. Those are really nice boots. Yeah. Those are really nice boots. Huh. Okay, we're gonna craft on those in a little bit. Anyways, so the second thing that Path of Exile does to incentivize exploring the map that you're in, and this is something that we can do a lot easier, is league content, secondary league content that has a random chance to appear. So like, you can be in a map and suddenly another map just opens in the middle of it. You can then go into that one. And having these like sub dungeons that can randomly appear if you explore, or just other things like that, are really useful in this in the grand scheme of like, let's make exploration fun in a monolith echo. So I think content like that would be where we'd be looking to expand to earlier than later. But I can't give you like details of what that is. But I hope that helped answer it. Hello guys, one question after the crafting system changes. Yeah. With forging potential being higher on rare and exalteds, normal and magic items started being almost useless. I'd agree. In the endgame. Just in general, really. Disincentivizing crafting an item from the beginning with less or no modifiers. Do you guys have any plans to change that? I think it's okay as it is right now. So there's no immediate plans to change it. I'll say that. This is not something that we're like, okay, yep, this is on the list of things we're gonna change. Done. However, I think that this sentiment is fairly accurate and shared by a lot of people. Because quite frequently, and I don't really know why it's not in this actually, but I'll come in here and I'll do this. Rarity, normal, magic. And I'll just do that. Like that's one of the first things that goes in my loot filters. I don't think that's a good thing overall. So I don't really have any news about specific plans for that, but I would agree that it is maybe not the best thing. That we're basically telling people, okay, magic and normal items are useless, you can ignore them. And I don't know if that's that. There's a lot of different ways you can change that. So, because of our, let's use Diablo 2 as an example. Rant incoming. Let's use Diablo 2 as an example. You can't. The only reason that blue items in Diablo 2 are useful at all is because that there are certain stats that appear on those blue items in higher values than they can appear on in yellow items. So, I'm gonna make a mistake here and say the wrong thing. And I'm sorry. This is one of those things like I used to know off by heart, but attack speed on gloves, I'm pretty sure can go to 30% on magic and only 20% on rare. Could be wrong here. I'm pretty sure. And so you sacrifice these extra mods for getting more powerful mods. So you don't get to have 6 mods that a rare item can have, but you get to have 2 mods in magic that are more powerful because that extra 10% attack speed is worth those extra 4 mods that you're giving up. And it's getting a little dicey. Because we have the ability to add affixes to items, we can never do that. We can never say you never want an item to get worse when you craft on it. This is part of the reason for the crafting changes we did recently that you mentioned. Is that when you finish a craft, you never want the item to be like just a worse item than it was when you started that craft. And I know the gotcha there is like, oh, what about the ones that like reroll which affix it is randomly? Okay, yes, it can be worse overall, but maybe it's not worse for some specific builds. It's not strictly worse, you know. So I'll use the term strictly worse instead to get around that. So we don't want items to get just strictly worse when you finish a craft. And so adding a third affix, so like maybe you add 1 dexterity to an item, and then one of the other 2 stats that are there drop in value because it went from being a blue item to a yellow item. So we can't really do that. There's no elegant way to fix that problem as far as we can tell. So the stats have to be consistent across magic and rare items for us. And then the way in Diablo 2 that you get white items to be useful is rune words. Because really, without rune words, white items are right. It's the only reason you care about them is you stick a certain number of sockets in it, you put those runes in the right order, and you get a sweet item out of it. And so apart from having, and the other thing the magic items are really good for as well, specific magic items are great for crafting in Diablo 2, which most people don't even know about as a mechanic, but is how you get some of the most powerful gloves, amulets, boots, rings in the game. Belts, you get really nice belts too. Oh, I got a nice belt last season. Oh, it was gorgeous. Anyways, it was like my first craft, and I'm just like, yeah, let's just craft something and see what happens. And I'm like, well, I'm done crafting for the season on belts. Anyways, where am I going with this? Yes, so we there's a few different ways we can solve the problem. One way is by just giving them more fortune potential, make the fortune potential not based on rarity, and give you the freedom to put whatever you want on them. Now, white items, because you can put any affix on them, they are more common to find one that would be useful because they're just a blank slate, and it's easier. Getting the right affixes on an item is a tricky thing to do, and that's half of making a good item, is getting the right affixes on it. If the item starts off as white, you're guaranteed the right affixes because you just slap whatever affixes you want on it. So you are trading that flexibility for maximum potential. And that trade-off might be a little too high right now, especially considering the best items are not yellow. So the best items are purple, or legendary items, but you're getting the purple items, excluding uniques. What we're looking for as for some variant of a magic item is exalteds, really. And because you can't craft exalted affixes onto an item directly, suddenly no matter how much flexibility you have in that item, it still is not going to outweigh the value of having the right exalted affix on it. So all this is a very long-winded way of saying, right now, normal items and magic items, yeah, they're kind of useless, and we don't have any concrete plans to make them useful at the moment, but it would be nice. So maybe one day. Alright, back to some questions. I'm probably behind a little bit now. Oh, you know what? Oh, I'll answer a question. I'll do it after this. This one's done. I got a little teaser for you. Little teaser. Uber thoughts for like a really high or rare drop, maybe even a legendary drop without having to make one. Okay, so right off the bat, I don't think we have plans to have legendaries drop without having to make them. Maybe one day type thing, but definitely not at 1.0. I shouldn't say definitely not. Extremely unlikely at 1.0. Anyways, as far as the Uber bosses are concerned, yeah, that's something that is, I think, really important. Getting Uber bosses in right, having the path to them be appropriate, having the narrative significance of them be good, having that fit into the storyline properly, and the progression that you have in endgame as well, I think is really important. Having all these things are really key, and we're still working on exactly the best way to do a lot of it. But Uber bosses are definitely in the conversation and on the table. That's something that we're looking at working on. We just need to, figure out a few things with them. Did I run right past one of them? Yeah, I did. So observant. You don't even know. I ran right past 2 of them, didn't I? That's what happens when I get rambling. I think that the Uber bosses having the rewards for Uber bosses is a really tricky thing, because the reward has to be something that matches the gravitas of the accomplishment. You know, it has to be like oh my god, you beat that Uber boss and you got that. That's cool. I think it needs to be something that you're pretty confident in it's going to be useful for your character. So having completing an Uber boss and getting a reward that is like, okay, well, great for this other character, but does nothing for me, kind of sucks. And having things that are required to turn certain builds online, I think is not ideal, because you don't want to be like, okay, I'm making this build to do this content, but I need to complete the content to do the build, and that deadlock you don't want to happen. Sorry, that conflicts. Deadlock's a fine term. Deadlock is a programming term for when 2 things are. Wow. Those are 2 nice boots in a row. We go into the shoe store here. I don't need that. Or that. Or that. Alright, I was going to do stuff, wasn't I? Okay, first of all. Yeah, here we go. Alright, this is a model for a new NPC. We actually showed a time-lapse of the concept art being done a little while ago. But yeah, this is the finished version, the render with nice lighting and everything. This is what she looks like in game. This is Keeper Lena. I don't think that's a secret. I hope it's not. If it was, it's not anymore. Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Sorry, I got mesmerized by the rotating. It's just tiny on my screen. Yeah, I just gotta ask these deep Qs, longtime players, so I know most of the basic stuff and what to expect as a response. Yeah, Zakaris, I know you've been around for quite a while. Glad to have you here. Let's do a little flip me to the other side. Oh, I did not fix. Mike, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life, huh? That'll be close, but it won't quite be. Oh. If anyone knows how to zoom in on Streamlabs OBS, so you can see in finer detail how you're editing. See how I just moved the made this bigger so it lines up nicely on the corners. If anyone knows how to zoom in on a section of your screen in the preview so you can line things like that up better, I'd really appreciate to know. Every time I try and Google it, it's like, you want to connect Zoom to OBS? I'm like, no, I want to zoom in on the screen. It's like, you want to zoom in on a section while you're streaming and show people a closer section of your screen? No, I want to do it in the preview. You want to preview a zoomed in section on your stream so you can see? No. It doesn't like the word zoom. Sorry, I haven't been trying to do this for years or anything. Right. As an RPG dev, what do you think PoE's rare enemy modifier changes and the community's reaction? And how could that influence Last Epoch's development of rare monster mods? I actually had a question about this recently. I think it was last week. Honestly, I think I much prefer having fewer, more interesting mods. And I think what they're going for is really good. There may be a few combinations that are aggressively painful to deal with. And I'd be surprised if they don't do this already, or if they're going to start doing this or something, which is just having certain ones that are mutually exclusive with each other, which is something we already do. which basically have them work as like items where there's prefixes and suffixes, and you can like you have so many prefix slots and so many suffix slots on monster mods, and then you can't get like 3 prefixes at the same time, because it would, I think it might even be just one prefix, one suffix for us. So you can't, just like all of the prefixes are mutually exclusive with each other. And we have some that are also just mutually exclusive on their own, so that you don't get certain combinations, I think. And like Diablo 3 had the same problem, big time, with the chainers and the wallers and the arcane. It was like a chain, wall, arcane, enchanted, I think was like the perfect trinity of you're screwed. So yeah, I think I don't want to say much about the reactions, because I don't know much about the reactions, really. I didn't pay that close attention to them. But GGG has an immense amount of experience in this, and I have no doubt that if there's a problem with it, they'll find a good solution. You know? Okay, those came out pretty good. Oh, big hit on the foraging potential right off the bat. Yeah, done. These might still be better anyways, though. That's the thing. More move speed. Similar overall res. I don't know which ones we need more. I think I'm gonna put these on. I think those are my choice. Let's keep going. Full steam ahead with our new boots. We're walking. And we're walking? Will you change the Reaper form in the future? So it shows your equipped weapon instead of the two-handed scythe. Or the two individual scythes, sorry. I think it's a shame having so good-looking weapon models, but if you play Lich Reaper form, you will not see them most of the time. That's an interesting... I honestly, I don't think I've thought of that recently, at least. Yeah, there's something to be said for the like aesthetics of being in Reaper form and having it match, but then so many of the weapons you're using in Reaper form do match and have really good aesthetics in Reaper form. I don't know. It's a great question, though. I like the idea. My gut reaction is, oh yeah, we don't do that. I wonder why. These squirrels. With the leader river. They found her on a boat, drifting the dark. With her brother. Brother didn't make it. Spoiler alert. Will you change? Oh, yes, that's all. I see a sorry, this has been asked many times question. Don't forget to at Last Epoch Game with the question, and I'll answer it. Sorry, this is asked many times, my man, but is there an ETA on co-op? Multiplayer is in development. I do not have a specific time for it. Oh, did we just find even better boots? Oh. Oh. Those are interesting boots. There's no movement speed second stat there. But a T6 and a high T6 and a high T7 roll. Strength and vitality. It's a lot. It's a lot of both. Oh, it's just okay. I don't know why, but we're finding some nice boots right now. What am I doing? It's not this way. It is known. Reddit was molding. Freaking out! Freaking out, man! I will say this, after working on this, my reactions to other games has been tempered a lot. Like, I see things that I'm like, that would have made me so angry before. Nothing. Just nothing anymore. Like, I don't think I've ever gone on gigantic tirades or anything like that on like social media or anything, but like, I don't know, I've been upset on certain changes, balance changes for various games. It's happened. I feel nothing. Alright, is there something we do to bring in the old crafting system? No. Although it was annoying in breaking your value items, let's be honest, it was nail biting, which was part of the fun. Yeah, there were a lot of really good things about the old crafting system, for sure. And we hung on to it for a very long time. And I don't know if we could have fixed it to really present nicely, but there was some core problems with it, and I'm a huge fan of the old style crafting system. For anyone who doesn't know, there's just like a growing chance for you to just brick the item every time you crafted on it, and when it was just out of like when it did brick, there was a chance that it actually like broke the item and made it actually worse. Like, it would actually take the stats off of the item when you fail to craft. And that could happen right out of the gate. So it could be like 99% chance of success. Brick. And almost every day I saw a new post that was something along the lines of crafting system chances, like the numbers you see for like the chances of something happening. It used to have like percent chance to brick the item or whatever, and those numbers are wrong, are not showing the real numbers. Here's my data to prove that those numbers are wrong. And like almost every day I'd see a post like that, and we really validated it. The numbers were not wrong. The numbers were very right, but the way that it presented the information to players, it's just something that like people can't really wrap their heads around properly, of like what those chances actually mean and how they feel when you're interacting with them. And this is, when I say people, I'm really not saying even people that play our game or like any specific person at all. Like, this is just humans in general are bad at this type of task. We're all bad at it. I'm bad at it. Every single one of us are bad at it. And it's this like inability to really process what's happening based on chance systems. And it's part of what makes gambling so addictive and so difficult to gauge how you're actually doing and why people end up with gambling addictions and things like that. And like we're just really bad at like comprehending those numbers and what they mean and the feedback we get from those numbers and how it works. I came very close to like putting in fake things to like cheat it in the player's favor, you know? And instead we just changed the whole system because we realized that it was never going to be working right. But I don't think bringing it back is a good idea, even as an optional thing. So maybe I could see it being like a dungeon reward or something like that. Be a weird dungeon reward, but I could see it being something like that, as like a mechanic that showed up. But as like a day-to-day thing, just normal crafting, nah, it's gone. Do you guys hire people from other countries to work from home? Oh, absolutely. I'm from another country. I'm not in the States myself, so technically our like company is based out of the States, and but I live in Canada, which I know is the least other country you can get from the States, you know, but technically a different country, right? But no, we've got people working in, like, throw a dart at a map, and we've probably got someone working in that country. Partially because we got people working in the biggest countries, so you know it's easy to hit those ones. But yeah, there's people all over Europe. There's people in Asia. There's people in Oceania, or however you want to delineate the globe. There's people basically everywhere. People in South America. Lots of people in South America, actually. Yeah, we try to have people working mostly on a similar time zone. So a lot of the people who do work in really far away places from sort of like Epoch time tend to work in the evenings or in the mornings, or you know, not everyone has to do that, but there's a lot of people that I'm sure work weird hours. But yeah, we got people all over the world. It's actually really cool because there's a lot of, like, we see it sometimes in, like, when we're designing new elements for the game, whether it's like new skills or whether it's just new visuals for something or new mechanics or all sorts of things. There's all these different things that people from different countries bring together that I think makes really interesting, a really interesting game, really interesting discussions. And it's always fun to just like learn about other cultures sort of through osmosis of, like, oh, it's this holiday in this country right now. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Wonder what that's about. And then there's also fun stuff like Carv and I, we jab back and forth about hockey a whole bunch. And like there was the World Championships just happened, and Carv won this round, you know. That's okay. So we go back and forth about that, so which is really fun. They've actually been on a hot streak lately. I don't know, I can't remember what the original question was. I really like working with people from all over the world. It's awesome! And yeah, we do it a lot. Yeah, it was about hiring people from other countries. Yes, we do. Which is a lot easier because we're fully remote. There's no studio, there's no office. We have more people on America's time zone than anywhere else. But part of that is just because it's a lot easier to find people who can work in that time zone. Like who can work those hours comfortably. But yeah, actually, right from square one, we've had people in Europe and Asia. Actually, right from the very beginning, Europe, Asia, and North America. Here's Harton. Let's go, buddy. Done. That was quick. Pop all the cooldowns, that's what happens. Okay, here we go again. A lot of people have talked about damage weighting in skills versus gear. Yeah, it's been a hot topic recently. Absolutely, we actually talked about this yesterday in our design meeting. I've even seen take part in discussions about it on Discord. Has the team gathered to discuss using a scalpel and shifting this damage weighting at all? Yeah, I think it's a great way of phrasing it. In short, have y'all looked at / discussed the character power distribution in Last Epoch lately? I kind of answered that as I was going there, sorry. But yeah, definitely. and I don't want to. We haven't done the changes yet. We've discussed it. We haven't done the changes yet, so I don't want to talk too much about what we decided, just because I don't want the narrative to shift to like, oh, they're making this huge change that's this, when, well, we're testing that change, and who knows if we'll actually do it or not. And I just realized I'm way over the stability requirements to complete this echo, so I'm just going to warp out and try the boss in 10 minutes. Basically, like you've worded it great. How you've worded it, and it is definitely a scalpel and not a sledgehammer approach that we're taking to it. But yeah, there's a bit of a disconnect in the distribution there, and it affects all sorts of things in the game, and we're looking at how best we can affect those systems without causing huge changes elsewhere. And like there's a lot of systems that are compounded together, and making changes to one can have big changes elsewhere, so we're trying to be a little careful to not have too many knock-on effect problems. But yes, short answer is yes. We're looking at it. Get him. Okay, we're gonna actually go down to this one first. Come on, boys, this way. You two, River. I better still have River. If I don't, I'm gonna be so sad. Before the end of the stream, we'll take stock and make sure River's still with us. This is interesting. Jumping over gaps. So you may notice that sometimes you can jump over them, sometimes you can't. And like, so this gap, you can't jump over this gap, but you can. Hopefully it was right. I should be able to jump over this gap, even though it's essentially the same distance. It's because it looks at the total distance difference to walk around. It's not actually about the distance you're jumping. Fun facts. I love being able to cancel that. It's so nice. So nice. Alright. Another question here. Also, do you like reading? Because I think I wrote at least the length of a children's book at this point. Oh, I've read a lot of children's books recently. It's way longer than any children's book out there, for sure. I guess baby books, not children's books, is more accurate, but still, either way. You had to take multiple clips of my answers. Glad that they are clip-worthy answers. Can I get around this way? I can never. I don't do the quest echoes very often, so I never remember exactly what it is. I know I have to go down. Is there another spot that I have to go first? Nope. Whoops. Give me that 200 gold. That's what I meant. Sorry, maybe adding into a dungeon to bring in unique number on affix. High risk, high reward. Yeah. Oh yeah. With the old crafting system. Yeah, I could see something like that happening as a dungeon reward. If we did do it, I think we would have fairly significant changes to the system as a whole. It wouldn't just be like, oh, we're bringing it back. It would be like, someone would be like, hey, wait a minute, isn't this kind of similar to that thing they used to do? I feel like that would be the perception of it. At least that's what I would hope it would be anyways. Oh my god, these guys have we've recently redesigned these, the soul furnaces. Oh my god, they look amazing now. They look so cool now. They're like, they've hit that uncanny valley to the point where you're just like, you look at them and go, ugh, okay. In a good way, I promise. At least I think it's a good way. Oh, this is a spicy one. I got one this way. Let's go this way first. It's a long ways out. Come on, we're trying to get here before we got 5 minutes to do the boss, and this it's not gonna make it. Run, Mike, run! We might extend a little bit to do the boss. We'll see. Got him. Time to get the heck out of Dodge. Alright, next question. What's a big topic you guys are thinking on or working on besides multiplayer? I mean, the cop-out answer here is performance. That's definitely the next biggest thing. I mean, yeah, that's the next biggest thing. There's performance, there's multiplayer, there's the missing classes. Apart from just more of everything else that we have in the game already, there's not much else that's gonna go in. No, I shouldn't say that. Those are the big things that we're ready to share about. Bees. More bees. Yeah, be prepared. Alright, come on. Power through. You got this, squirrels. Squirrely Dan, I believe in you. Oh, one of the squirrels need to be called Dan. You haven't watched Letterkenny yet. Shorzy's been real funny. Alright, I played this game back in the alpha when it was on Kickstarter. I remember thinking something. It had a lot of potential. Yeah, cool, thanks. I have to say the potential of this game has skyrocketed. I believe it'll be an amazing game if it isn't already. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think it's an amazing game already, but I'm extremely biased. Haha. Speedrun strats, you gotta jump in the echo to the thing. We're doing it. We're so close to the end. Stream's ending in 2 minutes, but you know we're going for the boss.
This world erupt to embrace the flame.
I'll embrace the flame if you do first.
Erupt. Be engulfed.
Oh.
You will be snuffed out.
Don't make promises you can't keep, buddy.
Eternal flame, burn to ashes. Eternal flame. Embrace the flame.
Yeah, that RX flesh needs to be
You will be snuffed
fixed.
out. Erupt. Burn to ash. Be engulfed. No, the flame is fading. The strongest burn the brighter. My soul burns.
I'm actually in another time. Yeah, there we go. All right. Oh, minion damage. That's gotta be it, right? Yeah, gotta be minion damage. Did we get the, yeah, Baldur's Wrath too. Nice. Pew, pew, pew. All right. Last one for the road. Will make it easy. Any trips planned for the summer? Nah. I might go an extremely short distance. That's technically a trip because we had to stay overnight to my mother's house. That'll be about it. Next time we will work on one of the other two, and we'll get this one into. I might play another build. I don't know. We might jump around with builds. I had a ton of fun with this build. I do still want to try and get this legendary, so we might play some more of it. Love that we found some awesome boots. I hope you had fun. I know I did. That'll about do it for me today. Let's go head over and say hi to someone. If you... Here, I've got a little... if you have any more questions that I did not answer, please feel free to head on over to our Discord, Reddit, forums, anywhere like that. I will try and answer those questions as best I can.